Hello everyone, my name is Hunter Trask and I am here today to do a training module on body languages in presentations. I think this is a great skill to have for anybody when presenting. A lot of us can feel very nervous or uncomfortable when we're up presenting, and today we're going to learn what makes us nervous and what shows that we're nervous when we're presenting. We're going to do an exercise as well to make us aware of what we're doing when we're presenting that makes us look nervous, and then we're going to talk about some confident body languages that we can replace with. So let's get right into it. So here is our outline of what we're going to cover in the module today. So I'm just going to step aside so I can read these to you. So we're going to start with our introduction and our training objective, so we know what exactly we're going to learn today. Then we're going to move on to our nervous presenting habits and pinpointing those. Then we're going to talk about the top 7 nervous body languages. Then we're going to do an exercise to point out our nervous tendencies when we're presenting. Then we're going to talk about the top 6 confident body languages. And then we're going to do another exercise of what you found most helpful that'll lead us right into our conclusion. So moving on to our introduction portion of this module, I want to ask you a few questions. These are in our participants manual, so you can look at them under introduction. There's a number from 1 to 10, and I want you to choose which one most resonates with you for the first 2 statements that are on there. The first statement that I want you to fill in those numbers for is what I don't know what to do with my hands or my body when I'm presenting. So just choose a number between 1 and 10, whether that really doesn't resonate with you at all, you don't feel that, or whether you feel that a ton and it's a 10. And then the next question or the next statement is I mostly feel uncomfortable when I'm up presenting. So also fill in a number for that and keep that aside. That is just for your personal mindset, so you know exactly where you are. Alrighty, moving on. So this is our training objective for the session today. So this is what we're going to base the entire session off of. So our training objective is after today's training session, trainees will be able to demonstrate confident presentation body language and be able to pinpoint uncomfortable body language. So let's talk about our nervous presenting habits. So I want you to just write down in your training module booklet, what are some things you do body language wise when you're nervous? So just jot down 2 or 3 things that you know that you do when you're nervous and presenting. And then secondly, I want you to answer this question. Does your body language appear uncomfortable to the audience? Whether you know if it appears uncomfortable or not, we're going to find out, but I want you to answer these questions before we go into our exercise. Go ahead and fill those out. If you need more time to fill them out, you can pause the module here, fill those out, and come back when you're ready. Alrighty, so welcome back if you paused, or we're continuing if you've not. So let's talk about the top 7 nervous body languages. These are from SpeakingSavvy.com, and they offer some great insight into what makes us nervous. So the first one is freezing. I'm going to go over these 7 quickly, and then we'll go over them more in depth in the future slides. So we have freezing as our number 1. Our second is backward stepping. Our third is rocking. Number 4 is fidgeting. Number 5 is our asymmetrical stance. Number 6 is pacing. And number 7 is screen gazing. So you may know some of these and what they are, and you may not know some of them, but that's why we're going to go more in depth with them. So in your participants manual, once again, I've got all 7 of these laid out for you with some blank spots so you can write in the definitions of each. So let's start with freezing. Freezing, most people already know what freezing is, and it's very, very common for a lot of people. Freezing is that deer in the headlights look. We're completely frozen in one spot, our eyes are glued, we're not making eye contact with anyone, and we are just completely frozen. That's the best way to describe it, and that's exactly what it is. It's very common for people to freeze up, whether you're frozen while you're speaking and just standing forward like this and you're speaking, or whether you're frozen and you don't know what to say and you're completely not talking at all. Those are both versions of freezing. It's super common. We'll understand how to combat it soon. Next, we have backward stepping. Backward stepping is taking steps back while we're talking. You may notice it, you may not. This can make you feel like you have a lack of confidence. It also perceives to the audience that you have a lack of confidence. It can also, if you're backward stepping while you're talking, can make you look like you don't truly understand or truly believe what you're saying, which is never good. Our third is rocking. So rocking is just leaning back and forth between both your feet and kind of moving your weight back and forth. You can feel like this may be a good gesture, but in reality, it can be really distracting to the audience, and because it's such a repetitive motion, it makes it even more distracting for the audience. They may just notice the rocking and stop understanding what you're actually talking about. Then we have fidgeting. Fidgeting is kind of an umbrella term for a bunch of different things that we do while we're presenting. It can be twirling your hair, picking your nails, biting your nails, scratching your head. It encompasses a lot of different things, crossing and uncrossing your legs. It's little small things that you do during a presentation repetitively that once again are extremely distracting to the audience and don't necessarily need to be done while you're up there presenting. Next, we have our asymmetrical stance. This is one you may not quite know is a nervous habit. It's where you're leaning on your dominant side and then only using your dominant hand for gestures, and your other hand is maybe just laying down or down here, and it can just feel very kind of off-putting and concerning to the audience. And then next we have pacing. So pacing is, just as it says, walking back and forth from one point to the other, back and forth. Once again, it's another repetitive, just distracting movement. A lot of these nervous tendencies you'll see are repetitive and they're distracting. And lastly, you have screen gazing. This is another super common one. That's usually when people are standing in front of the presentation board and they're looking back and presenting that way. This helps them to avoid audience gaze because people don't like to actually make eye contact with other people. And then it also, can come off to the audience that you don't know your stuff because you're reading off of the screen. So screen gazing, another super common one. So go ahead and pause here. You can go back into the video, slow it down and fill in those definitions and pause as you go. And then if you're ready to move on, we're gonna move on to our exercise. So this is another point to pause as well once you're here. I'm gonna go ahead and explain the exercise to you. All the explanation is also in the participants manual, so you can see it there as well. But I'm gonna explain it to you so you know exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna pause here and then do the exercise. So for this exercise, all I want you to do, and you can do this by yourself or with someone if you have someone with you. So I want you to record yourself either doing an improv presentation, or if you have a prepared 2 to 3 minute presentation, you can do that as well. But I want you up there presenting. Doesn't have to be in front of anybody, but up there presenting for 2 to 3 minutes. Record it, either record yourself or have someone record you doing it. And then I want you to look back, play the video back, and write down any nervous tendencies you see yourself doing. It can be any of these past 7, or it can be something else you notice. And I want you to just write those down, write how many times you do each one as well. And then once you're ready, you can come back and we're gonna answer some questions. So I'll see you in just a minute. Alrighty, so welcome back. If you're ready to move on, so let's answer these questions about the video we just watched. Hopefully it gave you some insight into what you're doing. You may know that you do these nervous tendencies, and you may see some that you don't know you did. So I want you to answer these 2 questions for me. So were you aware you were performing these nervous body languages, or did you only notice when you played the video back? And then were these body languages distracting or repetitive, or both? So go ahead and answer those. You can answer them to the fullest extent or the least amount of extent as you want. This is all for your personal gain, so answer those however you want. Go ahead and pause here, answer those, and then we'll move on. Alrighty, so let's talk about the top 6 confident body languages. So now we've talked about some nervous body languages and we've pinpointed those. I want to segue into some confident body languages that we can replace our nervous body languages with. So these come from the Harvard Business Review, which is a great source for body language. So this is the box, and then we have holding the ball, pyramid hands, wide stance, palms up, and then palms down. So we're gonna go more into depth with all 6 of these. It's the same format as our nervous body languages in our participants manual. So I want you to fill in the definition of all of these and what they mean. So first we have the box. So the box is really important and a really great strategy to use. You basically just imagine an imaginary box right in front of your chest and your stomach, and you move your hands around in there. Sometimes it can help if we're not good at using our hands to imagine a box, keep our hands in there, and then they tend to kind of move on their own. You can see I was kind of using it there a little bit, as well as holding the ball, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the box is really great to segue into actually using gestures when we're presenting. It's also called the Clinton box because Clinton used to use it a lot. He used to do a lot of hand gestures out here, and it just made him feel way too dominating. And so the box was a good trick for him, and it kind of got its name from that. Then we have the ball. So I was kind of showing you how I did the ball a little bit. So you just imagine a basketball, imaginary basketball between your hands, and you can use your hands like this. Another kind of way to do gestures, just like the box. So the ball makes you look commanding and dominant. So it's another good way to segue into using some gestures within your presentations. Next up, we have pyramid hands, which makes you look self-assured and relaxed. Everybody knows about pyramid hands pretty much. Just clasp your fingertips together and you can hold them. This just makes, it is definitely a relaxed pose. Now, it can look kind of smug if you're using it in the wrong context or with the wrong facial expressions, but mostly the pyramid is a great one to use, especially if you're not good at using your hands, especially if you're not able to use your hands individually. If you're not able to use your hands individually, this is a good one to get you started for sure. Then we have the wide stance, which this one is great to use with any of the other gestures as well. You just plant your feet shoulder width apart, gives you a nice wide stance, and it's a great place to plant yourself. This is different from freezing as long as you're using gestures and you're very into your presentation. So this will just make you look very, very confident and in control. Next, we have palms up, which makes us look honest and accepting. Palms up is a great one. Just using gestures, palms up. All of these 6 are just so great because they're good for introducing you to gesturing your hands. And then lastly, we have palms down, which is another self-explanatory one. It makes you look strong and assertive, good for calming down a crowd or just getting a little more in control. So go ahead, pause there. You can go back and write those definitions down at your own pace, because I know I went through them a little quickly since this is a short training session. But let's do another exercise and let's talk about what you found most helpful. This is just going to segue us into the conclusion of this training session. So this is in our participants manual as well. Write down 2 to 3 things that you found helpful, things you learned, or things that you knew but we elaborated on today. And that'll just kind of help you have some extra things that you learned today. And then finally, once you're back from doing that last exercise, this is our conclusion. So I just want to go back over what we talked about today, and then I'm going to go back over our training objective so that that's refreshed in your mind. So today we learned the top 7 nervous body languages, how to pinpoint our own nervous body language, how to correct our nervous body language, and then finally, how to replace our nervous body language with new confident body language. So here is our training objective once more. After today's training session, trainees will be able to demonstrate confident presentation body language and be able to pinpoint uncomfortable body language. So I want to challenge you after this training session. The training doesn't end here, the practice doesn't end here. I want you to use that video technique when you are doing a presentation or you're preparing to do a presentation. Use that beforehand so you can see your body language and correct it. It's such a great practice tool, and it does take practice to get good body language and to look comfortable when you're presenting. If you have any questions, you can of course contact me. I'll be back doing more training sessions very soon, but it's a pleasure doing this for you. And once again, you can go back through if you want to, since this is asynchronous, you've got the video. So please practice, and your presentation skills, I'm sure, will get better and you'll be more comfortable very soon. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.